Shields up, Iron Breakers. Workout here coming at you with another video, and the topic for this one is Anthem. In my last Anthem video, I said I wouldn't post any more content for the game until the PS4 hard crash was acknowledged and resolved. Well, in their latest live stream, the BioWare team has acknowledged the problem and assured us it would be solved in the next patch, which supposedly will come around in the 12th of March. This date is not yet set in stone. However, this last live stream has also left me extremely disappointed with the team because I couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of disconnect, a distinct feeling that the developers aren't actually playing their own game. Now, before we begin, I want to make a couple of things clear. I like Anthem. This does not mean that I am blind to its many flaws. Anyone who has watched my review of the game will understand my position and realize that I am capable of seeing the potential in what the game has done right, but I also see all of its shortcomings and the telltale signs of its rushed release. I find it ridiculous that there are still people in my comment section trying to categorize me as either a fanboy or a hater. And let me be perfectly clear, if that is your genuine belief, leave now. I am done dealing with people that are incapable of intelligent discourse. The only way forward is through discussing both the good and the bad aspects of Anthem. So if you're someone that hates the game, why the hell are you even watching this video to begin with? Move on with your life already. Your desperate pleas for attention are beyond pathetic at this point. And if you're someone that loves the game and can't stand any criticism thrown at it, you should leave too, because ultimately you're also a part of the problem. Now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to be very critical of this latest livestream, and I am not doing so out of some kind of misguided hatred, but a genuine desire for the developers to get their act together and deliver on the promises they've made for a game I want to enjoy and continue covering on the channel. Let's start by going a little more in depth with the PS4 crash situation due to the fact that I've gotten a lot of feedback on that, and because Ben Irving specifically said during this latest livestream that it is perfectly safe for you to play the game on your PlayStation 4. Let me be perfectly clear here, I wholeheartedly disagree with this statement, and let me tell you why. A couple of months ago, while I was playing my PlayStation 4, my 4-year-old son pulled the plug on the console. This minor incident caused irreparable damage to my hard drive. I formatted the drive multiple times, but it would continuously crash and stutter every single game I tried playing on it. The only solution was to replace the drive. The PlayStation 4 hard crash, which Anthem is causing, and that I have personally experienced 3 times now, is essentially the same thing as you pulling the plug on your console. Now, the chances of this crash actually bricking your PS4 are so slim they're probably not even worth considering. However, the chances of it irreparably damaging your hard drive, that's a different story. Now, while I still think they are fairly low, ultimately the chance is definitely there, and I am not willing to gamble with your hardware. So my position remains the same. I would not advise you to play Anthem on your PlayStation 4 before the next patch, because even if you don't irreparably damage your hard drive, there's also potential for other errors to occur where you might corrupt all of your data and be forced to perform a factory reset on the drive. Furthermore, I think it was very irresponsible of BioWare to make the bold claim it is perfectly safe to play on PlayStation 4. During this live stream, a lot of general fixes and quality of life changes were announced. I will do a rundown of the ones that I consider least important at the end of this video, because before we go there, I want to address some more pressing changes that really made me question whether or not the team is actually playing their own game. First, let's talk about being down. There's currently a problem in the game when you lose all of your hit points, and that is the fact that the UI doesn't do a good job of showing the remaining party members that you have been downed. Furthermore, you can't spectate their point of view, so you're basically left there to look at a big red graphic, unable to take any further action. Their solution to this situation was to remove as many respawn restricted areas from the game as possible and giving you a respawn timer of 30 seconds. Personally, I think that this solution is completely and utterly ridiculous, because from a difficulty standpoint, they've essentially removed hard wipes from the game. If someone goes down, you no longer need to take unnecessarily risks to repair them, you just survive for 30 seconds and they can respawn. This to me was the first indicator that the team is losing touch with their own game. Without hard wipes, how will you get the satisfaction of progressing through a difficult encounter? Your team can just slowly but surely outlast most situations in the game by simply remaining in cover. This will further encourage a passive playstyle that is already all too common of people hanging in the backline and playing it safe. My interpretation of how you're supposed to play Anthem is the exact opposite. You are given unprecedented levels of mobility and should be encouraged to use it, to take chances, to be heroic. These respawn changes, in my interpretation, achieve the exact opposite. And when I heard them, I couldn't even believe we were talking about the same game. Back on topic, my personal suggestion would be to change the UI to make it more visible when someone has been downed. A bright red outline on their health bar should suffice. A warning that a teammate has been downed would also be good, as well as a warning for when you're the last javelin standing. I also feel this would be an easier fix than removing respawn restricted areas from the game, and potentially even less prone to bugs. Another topic of discussion were the Grandmaster 2 and 3 difficulties. Now, currently the team isn't ready to share their future plans on this topic. However, they requested community feedback in the form of consolidated Reddit threads. Now look, I think community input is a great way to improve a game, but at the same time, I believe the development team should have a clear direction on why players should be engaging with what is currently the most challenging activity in the game. Now, something that could potentially mitigate this problem would be new content being added to the game, like the roadmap indicated. However, it seems the upcoming patch on the 12th of March is not going to have any new content. Instead, the March content will supposedly be coming in a future patch at the end of the month. I don't even know what to say to this other than I am extremely disappointed. It was a reasonable expectation that this content would be delivered throughout the month, not at the very end of it. And while we're on the subject of events, let's not forget they've already skipped the Shaper Surge event, which was supposed to have happened at the end of February. There appears to be a problem with the fundamental design of their events. It seems they were disappointed with the Outlaw Surge event because no one found the secret Outlaw boss that was present in Bastion during that event. I believe they might actually be reworking a lot of the free play events in the roadmap to be more directed experiences. This could potentially mean further delays in the delivery of content, but this is merely my interpretation of the situation and nothing more than an educated guess. Now let's talk about scaling. Anyone that has been playing the game and attempted the harder difficulties has noticed that melee and ultimates don't scale very well. Well, BioWare has noticed this too, and apparently their solution is to scale melee and ultimates when you progress into harder difficulties. This part wasn't made very clear, so I don't know if they just flat out buffed melee and ultimates all around, or if you just get like a scaling bonus when you go into the harder difficulties. And to be completely honest, I don't really like either of the solutions. These abilities should scale based on your gear. There should be a melee weapon slot and an ultimate ability slot, which I actually predict we will see in the future. And failing that, it should be linked with your gear score as a temporary solution at least, because players should still get a sense of progression. Otherwise, once you go into Grandmaster 3, your ultimate still doesn't scale regardless of how much better your gear gets. And in my opinion, this doesn't make any sense. You want to feel progression on all of your abilities and gear. Apparently, all Masterwork items are also getting buffed, and as a side note, I cannot express how disappointing it was to hear the developers be unsure of what is currently the power level of Masterwork items.
So for example, I think, what is a Masterwork now is 45, right?
Chat, 45?
I understand they are working several builds ahead of what is currently implemented in live servers, but they should always be well aware of the build their community is currently playing. And let's not even elaborate on the fact that before they started this discussion, Jesse was using his flamethrower on a relic for God knows what reason. Anyway, the current level of Masterwork items is 45 and they're getting buffed to 61. Legendaries will be getting buffed to 65. Maybe. Ben didn't seem 100% sure on that last. Now look, I'm all for these items getting buffed, but here's the current situation. You're buffing these items so people can do the harder difficulties, but at the same time, you're not giving them any reason to do the harder difficulties, so basically you're just making it easier for everyone to run Grandmaster 1, which means most people will just keep running Tyrant Mine on Grandmaster 1. The difference is that now they will be able to run it faster than before. These changes should only be put in place when there is a reason to run anything other than Grandmaster 1 difficulty. Anyway, moving on from this, there was a question asked from chat about the possibility of transforming the Ranger melee into a detonator. Personally, I'm strongly against this because I like that the Ranger's melee is different. It provides you with different playstyle choices from other javelins, and Ben seemed to be on the same opinion, which then led me to wonder as to why does the Ranger have 2 masterwork items that require you to get melee kills. Surely if the melee attack is a primer, it is there to set up combos, to essentially prime your targets for detonation. Therefore, the concept of actually using it to get kills seems to be counterintuitive. It's just another inconsistency that makes me wonder if the person that decided on these masterwork perks is actually aware that the Ranger melee is a primer. Anyway, Wind Wall and Bulwark Point also got a buff, which means they might actually be able to withstand more than one shot from most enemies now. Finally, let's run down some of the other fixes and quality of life changes that were announced during the stream. The next patch is expected to fix the following problems: multiple crashes and disconnects, including the PS4 hard crash, the sound glitch where you lose all sound, respawning outside the playable area, improvements to the quick play experience, Gunslinger's Mark now works properly, Mark of Ruin now works properly, the level 1 Defender rifle is no longer the best weapon in the game, the ultimate bar will no longer show up as full when it's actually not, and I want to say that I heard that this was fixed in a previous patch. Mouse button 4 is no longer permanently bound to back. Ranger Grenadier component now correctly reduces your grenade cooldown. This patch is also going to add the following quality of life features. You can now start expeditions from anywhere in Fort Tarsus, basically like you can when you are in a group. Common and uncommon items should no longer appear in Grandmaster difficulties. The Colossus now recovers faster from slamming into things. Server shutdown messages will not appear as often, and Titans can now be primed easier, which again, I swear I heard this one in a previous patch. And that is pretty much it when it comes to what was discussed on this live stream, and I came away from it feeling like currently the team has a distinct lack of direction. Sure, they're communicating changes, but these changes appear to lack a general sense of purpose. It's like if you're applying band-aids to problems you've only now realized existed. How is the QA team not able to detect the ultimate bar glitch, the lack of any real incentive to run anything above Grandmaster 1, the lack of variety in activities, the simple fact that the health of the final boss in the game is still grossly overtuned, which essentially means 90% of your player base doesn't even bother running Heart of Rage in Grandmaster difficulty, essentially reducing the number of strongholds people are actually playing to 2. It just feels like BioWare isn't playing their own game right now, and that's the worst thing that they can do to this community. And I already know that people will now accuse me of flip-flopping or jumping on the hate wagon or whatever else they feel they should throw at me to make themselves feel better. Well, before you type your comment, know this: I stand by everything I said about the game. I don't regret the time I've spent in my Javelin, and I genuinely want the game to succeed. But in order to do so, it is going to take more than happy thoughts and positivity. Right now, all I am doing is holding up a mirror. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, hit the like button. If you didn't like this video, hit the dislike button. If you want to hear more from me, make sure to subscribe and click the bell notification icon. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
Well fought. I think they got the message.